Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. My name is Annalise and this is my channel where we get planty with it. So the day is finally here. We are heading to the Ecuagenera pop-up in New Jersey. This is my second time ever going and I'm just so excited. I also heard because it's the last day of the pop-up, there may be some special deals, so I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out for that. We're braving the winter weather. It is so cold outside. We were actually gonna go yesterday on Saturday, but because of the huge snowstorm, we weren't able to, but we're going today on Sunday and I'm so excited. So keep on watching if you wanna see the amazing selection of plants I'm sure Ecuagenera will have. So right away I decided to head to this table because there weren't tons of people around, and this was the Monstera table, so a lot of the more rare types of Monstera. This first one was a Monstera obliqua of some sort. It's definitely not the traditional obliqua we see around the internet, but it also had a unique shape. This one here was a Monstera areopanata. To me, it kind of looked like the Pinati partita. It had sort of a corrugated texture that was similar. All of the Monstera on this table also were $45, which I think is a reasonable price because these are plants you're not really finding at typical nurseries. This was a Monstera lechleriana. Now, at this point, to be honest, they all kind of looked similar to me, so I moved along. Over here, they had a few orchids, which I really don't know much about, but I know that Ecuagenera is a big orchid seller. Definitely have a lot of them online. Here was the first philodendron I saw for 70, which was a philodendron genevivianum. I love those little fuzzy petioles. How cute is that? That's definitely a plant I would have picked up if I didn't already have one. Moving along, here was a basket of anthurium. I will say that right away I noticed that it was a lot less organized than last time I came, and I think that was maybe because they had less stock. They didn't have labels on the front of the baskets explaining what was in them, so you really had to go through and look at each individual plant, which was hard to do. And the plants were really scattered around. They weren't always grouped by type, or even if they were the same type of plant, they weren't always placed together. But that was a philodendron pseudoverrucosum there, which had a really cool texture. I'm kind of scanning over a lot of these because it would take forever to pick them all up and find the name, so I tried to pick out the ones that I thought people would find most interesting or most exciting. I do love those longer leaf shapes. Look how big that leaf was. This was one I was very interested in. You can see the name there and look at those textured leaves. I think I just kind of love that pillowy texture. Oh, in the back there you can see that they did have a sign, sale 20% off. Every single plant was 20% off, which was pretty awesome. Here was a philodendron burgundy princess, which I'm pretty sure is just a reverted pink princess, but comment down below, let me know if I'm wrong. Here is one of my favorite plants, the philodendron linamii. You guys saw in my Ecuagenera haul video, I did just pick one of these up when they were on sale, but that's how the new leaves come in. They come in this beautiful red color. I'm obsessed with that leaf color, and you could tell it was a popular plant because I saw quite a few people hovering around it, picking it up and putting it down. Here was a philodendron esmeraldens, which is something I actually got last time at the Ecuagenera pop-up, and it's been growing super well. So this one was very exciting to see there again, looking super beautiful and healthy. Here I am just checking the price of the linamii. A lot of them were a little bit hard to see, but that was $300 for that one. Definitely on the pricier side. I think when I ordered it for sale online, it was only $150. Now to me, this plant stole the show. It just stands out with how beautiful it is. It was $125, but remember everything was 20% off, so it goes down to $100. And they just had massive leaves. This whole table had a lot of different types of anthurium, a lot that I have never heard of or never seen. I was definitely surprised with how many Warrocks they had left, and I noticed as people were taking them, they were bringing more out from the back restocking, so they really had an amazing stock ready to go. I thought this anthurium was really beautiful. It was one I'd never heard of, the Queremilens. I'm sure I said that wrong, but I'd never seen that one before, but I thought it was really beautiful. Some of their Warwickwianums also did have two leaves instead of just one. This is one of my favorite plants. This was the Anthurium veitchii, another plant that you don't really find commonly. It was 120, I think, and a pretty decent size. They also all looked really healthy, like no crisping, no browning, which is surprising for Anthurium because we all know they can be very sensitive and very moody. Here is another philodendron I thought was super beautiful. I've never heard of this one. It's a Philodendron quillellii. I'm not sure if that's how you say it at all, but I don't know, something about that pillowy texture gets me every time. They had some more Linamii over here. Of course, an Anthurium luxurians. I know this is a very popular plant that a lot of people love. It was priced at $400, so definitely on the pricier side, although with the 20% off, that would come down to $320. So probably the best price I've seen. I've seen them usually for $600-700 at other plant stores. Here was an Anthurium. I think it was a Bestai. Yeah, it's a Bestai. Really beautiful. Reminds me kind of a mature crystallinum. This was a Philodendron luxurians. If you're into that velvet leaf philodendron thing, I think this one didn't actually have a price listed on it. Moving along to this little island over here, we had some more beautiful Anthurium. I really wasn't familiar with any of these. I feel like the common Anthurium we see are the darker leaf with the really bright veins, which they definitely did have. You can see there, I think that might be a Regal or Magnificum. I can never tell them apart. They look so similar to me. It did seem that most of the Anthuriums were priced pretty similarly at about between $100 and $150, of course with the exception of the luxurians, which did have a higher price tag. I was also super impressed with their collection because I feel like with Anthuriums, we usually see those darker leaved ones with the very bright veins like the Clarinervium or the Crystallinum or Regal, but they really had a much broader range than just that. Here is a little baby Squamiferum or Squamiferum, I always forget how to say it, for $50. And here is a Philodendron patricii. This is one of the ones that was on my list going into Ecuagenera, but I sadly did not pick up. It was a little bit on the pricier side, and I was trying to keep to a strict budget this time. I took a long focus on that interesting Anthurium. I think it might be the Cuticuense. As you can see, there were definitely a lot of repeats of plants, and they weren't really grouped together, so it was hard to make sure that you were seeing absolutely everything, but I did try my best. There was some more Linamii. Now this I was so excited about. This was a Philodendron tortum, and they literally only had one there that I saw. This one was pretty beat up, but it was only 100, which I feel like you never really see tortum at that price. There was another luxurians, looking a little bit floppy, but I'm sure once it's watered, it would be totally fine. They had a couple plants in the sink here. That was a Philodendron ernestii. I know that's a popular one as well. Definitely on the harder to find side. Back to this big leaf one. I think we looked at this one earlier. I don't remember the name of it. I also was having a camera focusing issue the whole time, which is why there's all these awkward cuts of me trying to focus on the label and not being successful. I do not know what was going on, but since I was trying to hold my camera and pick up the plants, I couldn't manually focus on the labels. So sorry about that. I'm doing my best to try to tell you what all the plants are that I remember. Here I'm picking up a patricii just to get a slightly better look at it. This was definitely one I really wanted. I think it was about $150, which for a patricii isn't very pricey, but I really was trying to keep to my budget. I'd initially set my budget as $100, which I'll be honest right now, I did not stick to, but I did not do as badly as last time, so I was proud of myself for that. You'll definitely see my haul at the end, although you can probably kind of guess what I ended up picking up. There was a Philodendron pastizanum. There were actually two there, and I did end up picking both of them up for friends. The pastizanums were 50 each, but with the sale, they were 40. Well, I'm going to stop talking here and just give y'all some jazzy music to look at the rest of the plants. Most of them are repeats, but I did want to try to give a good idea of the entire scope of everything that was there, so enjoy. Hey guys, so it has been a couple of days since the pop-up and I wanted to finally show you
my haul and then give you some of my final thoughts on how it went. So let me first show you the plants I picked up. First up is a plant I never thought I'd be able to get. They were so expensive when I started collecting plants, and I kind of gave up on having one, but I'm very excited to show y'all this Anthurium warocquianum, or the Queen Anthurium. So she came with 2 leaves. This one is a little damaged. There's a little piece down there that's definitely gonna fall off soon, but that's totally fine. And then this leaf is just stunning. I mean, you can see how massive these leaves are. Since I went on the last day of the pop-up, everything was on sale. Every single thing there, every plant was 20% off. So this started out as $125, but I got it for $100, which I think for a warocquianum of this size was a really good deal. Since I got home, I put it in my cabinet and it's just hanging out in there. They had it already potted up in sphagnum, so I've just left it in there pretty much. Next up was a find I was so excited about because this was the only one that I saw. I think it might have been the last one, and that is the Philodendron tortum. Now, I'm sure you can tell this guy looks a little beat up. We're missing some leaves here and there. Every single one of the leaves is missing some little pieces, but I'm not worried at all. I'm sure it'll bounce back. This guy started out for $100, but I ended up getting him for $80 because of the discounted price. And this one, just like the other one, is in sphagnum, just hanging out. So those were the only 2 plants that I picked up, but then my boyfriend picked up 3 plants, which I'll show you guys. He is really into Monstera and is trying to collect, probably not all the types, that would be impossible, but as many Monsteras as he can. So he picked up 3 different types of Monstera at the pop-up. First up is a Monstera lechleriana. This guy here. It's a super beautiful, healthy looking specimen. There's a little bit of damage, but nothing crazy. What's interesting about this one is we have a Monstera that we've been calling a lechleriana because that's what we bought it as from a reputable Etsy seller. They said it was a Monstera lechleriana, but we were starting to think maybe it wasn't because it didn't look anything like any pictures we've seen, even when it's matured pretty substantially. And so when we saw this one, we're like, what we have is definitely not a lechleriana if this is lechleriana. So he wanted to pick this up. We still don't know what the other one is, but this is the true lechleriana, I'm pretty sure. Next is a Monstera spruceana. See, to me, these all kind of look the same, but I guess to a seasoned Monstera lover, they're all very different. But this very pretty kind of pillowy leaves. They have a similar texture to the lechleriana. And this guy has, I think, 2 different growth points on this plant. You can see a new leaf right there. Also, sorry if you guys hear any background noise, which you can probably hear now. They are doing some construction or something upstairs, and I've been trying to wait until they were done, but it's been, at this point, about 6 hours of them drilling, and I've been putting off filming, but I have to get it done because I have to work later, so sorry if there's some background noise. Okay, and then the last Monstera he picked up is this Monstera areopinata. Look how massive this leaf is. So big, so pretty. To me, the leaf texture on this one almost looks like the Monstera pinnati partita, or a little bit like the Peru, but just a little bit less pronounced with the corrugation. All 3 of those Monstera were $45 each, but with the discount, they ended up coming out to about $35 each. That is so loud, oh my gosh. So I wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on the pop-up because there were a few things that I noticed this time around. First up, this time I went on the last day of the pop-up, whereas the first time I went, I think I went on either the first or second day, I don't remember which one. But I will say that they had a much smaller selection of plants this time around. I don't know if it's because it's deeper into the winter or because it was the last day, but that's definitely something I noticed. The first time I went, they had bags of plants hanging on the walls, which they did not have this time. They only had the bins out, so that decreased it by probably about 30%. I also did notice that people who I had seen on Instagram who had gone earlier in the pop-up did find some more plants that when I went, I didn't see available at all. However, going on the last day, there was a 20% off sale on every single plant, which was definitely awesome in decreasing the price of the plant. So I guess you kind of have to weigh your options there. Going the first day, you may have more options, but everything is full price. Going the last day, there may be a few less options, but you do get that discount. Another thing I noticed was that their plants were packaged differently this time. So pretty much all of their plants came in these little plastic pots that had sphagnum in them. I only saw a few plants that had soil. Most had spag. Last time I was there, a lot of the plants had their roots wrapped in sphagnum, and that was wrapped up, but they were not in a pot or any sort of container. To me, I kind of prefer this because I feel like the plant is in an environment that is a little bit more stable. For instance, when I bring it home, I could just leave it like this for a while to help it acclimate. Whereas the plants I got before that were just kind of bare root, I had to get into a container, set up, and that could be more disruptive to them and their roots. So I kind of like this way better. It was a little bit more difficult to transport, but they did give me a big tray to put all the plants in, which helped me bring it home. Overall, I think the Ecuagenera pop-up is totally worth it. I love it honestly, not just to buy new plants, but just being there and being in the space and seeing all of the excited plant people around you is always so awesome. I ended up chatting with a few people there and seeing what they were getting. We were talking about different plants. So I kind of love that aspect of the experience. Their next one that they're going to be doing in New Jersey is in May, but if you live somewhere else, you should definitely check their website. I think they have a full schedule of events all around the country. They do international events as well, so definitely check that out if you want to check out a pop-up. But overall, it was a blast as always. I can't wait for the next one in May. Definitely going to be there, and it'll be this summer, so I don't know, it's a lot easier to get plants in the summer. I was so nervous carrying the plants, even just from the location to the car, because I didn't want any cold damage, and this weekend was so cold, so the summer is going to make everything better. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Comment down below with what plants you would have picked up from the pop-up, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!